What is going on, YouTube fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. To all the day one supporters, I salute. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all already know it's all love. If you're new to the fam and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Tap that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Let's get right into the story. Up and coming rappers and recording studios go hand in hand. Unless you build your own studio at home, most artists pay for time to record or go there to network and do features with other rappers. But since the 90s, it's been proven going to a studio can be dangerous when people mix music with real street activity. Since Tupac at Quad Studio in New York City, rappers have been getting set up, robbed, and hit trying to make music. I always think to myself, if you choose to do something, why not do it all the way and go all in? Trying to make hit records and street activity shouldn't mix. But sometimes rappers' lives before the music follow them, or some choose to continue their lifestyle even while coming up in the industry. And that's when things get crazy. As some people trying to get in the game that might not be on that same type of time or energy also have to go record music and mix and network with other artists as well. But when someone has dirt on their name, being around that person can lead to you putting yourself in a dangerous situation. Wrong place at the wrong time. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we will take it to Atlanta, Georgia, to discuss a case that involved an alleged robbery and a hunt to get the items back that led to an innocent man being caught in the mix, losing his life. Back in 2016, a man named Jerome Blake, aka Blizzy, was 28 years old and an up-and-coming rapper that was said to have ties to the industry, growing up and being childhood friends with the late Bankroll Fresh. Trying to make a name for himself in the industry, Blizzy would often go to the studio to record. In a whole nother circle that had nothing to do with Blizzy at all was a man named Kenson Hunt, aka Rich Show, who was also said to be a rapper, but also a scammer, known for getting money and social media influence with over 112,000 followers, with his Instagram flooded with pictures of foreign cars and showing a successful lifestyle. A local rapper named Caleb would allegedly pull a robbery on Rich Show, taking the chain and over $50,000 in cash, and posted the chain on social media. This is where a play for some get back came in motion. The streets was talking, and in a later interview, Rich Show would say people who looked up to him on social media would DM him asking if he needed help getting his chain back. According to sources, a young man named Casey Battle, who was only 18 years old, hit up Rich Show and stated, "I can help you get your chain back. Just look out for me." The two men agreed. During the course of time, a plan went in motion how they would get close to Caleb to get the chain back. Then on April 20th, 2016, allegedly Rich Show reached out to a young lady he met on social media, asking for a favor for her to request an Uber to pick up Casey. Somehow, the men got word Caleb was at a recording studio called Headquarters on Metropolitan Parkway in Atlanta. The men allegedly called to set up a session to get close to Caleb. The young man Casey headed to the studio where he got the drop on Caleb. But this day, he wasn't alone. Blizzy was also in the studio with him. Caleb was in a booth dropping a track when Casey would go outside and make a call. Then about 20 minutes later, 3 men came to the spot with the doors being locked. Casey let them in, and one was holding a laptop computer and the other 2 just regular. It was later determined 2 of the men were identified as 31-year-old Shelton Dooley and 27-year-old Nathan Hannon. The cake had been baked to get the chain back from Caleb. But a few minutes later, shots would go off before witnesses and other people in the studio called APD. As police got to the scene, it was chaos. 2 assault rifles on the floor, 28 shell casings, 5 cell phones, a gold chain that read RS short for Rich Show, and 2 bodies. One man with a Mac 11 laying beside him, and another man laying outside the studio. Both men were pronounced gone at the scene. The men were later identified as Jerome Blake, aka Blizzy. The other man laid next to the Blick was identified as Nathan Hannon. As detectives started investigating the scene, they saw 3 surveillance cameras, 1 inside the studio and 2 outside, and witnesses from the studio will be taken to homicide for questioning. One of the men still on the scene was Casey. By being questioned, he stated he was in the studio recording with Caleb. When his baby mother called, he went outside, and 3 men said they were Caleb's new management team. Not thinking nothing of it, Casey told detectives he let them in the studio, but quickly realized he made a mistake when they up-blitzed, stating it's a robbery. He stated one of the men pointed the gun at Blizzy and pulled the trigger. Not long after, more shots went off, coming from a rifle from inside the booth. Casey claimed he was in shock. Police let him leave the station, and he agreed to come back to the station to retrieve his phone and belongings. But in another room was Caleb. He told detectives he was in the booth when he saw 3 men up guns and shoot Blizzy. Caleb wasn't lacking though and returned fire from inside the booth, according to him, hitting Nathan. He also stated him and Blizzy was cool and he had to watch him take his last breaths. As the pieces of the puzzle started coming together, detectives would ask Caleb who was looking for him or who he was beefing with, because it seemed like a hit attempt. He stated a lot of people was hating on him because of his success in the music industry. But being that the gun was in his name and it seemed to be self-defense, Caleb was also let go. But a few days later, the surveillance footage came back to the police. As they watched the whole setup take place, they quickly realized it seemed Casey let the men in, then ran out with them with a gun in his hand when shots went off. Detectives plotted on getting him back to the station, since they also found out he had a warrant for his arrest. A few days later, Casey went to the station to pick up his phone, to only be placed under arrest and questioned. Before they surprised him and he saw himself on video, the young man stated he picked up one of the men's guns and only ran with them out of fear for his life. But his phone records showed 8 messages between him and Rich Show. Also, Casey slipped up and said that's who called him an Uber to the studio. Casey would eventually be charged with 2 counts of murder and attempted robbery. Detectives didn't have a real name for Rich Show at the time, so they tracked down a young lady whose Uber account he used to pick up Casey. She confirmed his real name was Kenson Hunt and his address. Police released the surveillance footage to the news and the community, looking for tips. Not long after, a name came in for the man holding the laptop in the video. He was identified as Sheldon Dooley, who resided in California but would visit his family once a month in Atlanta. APD would put out a warrant for Kenson, aka Rich Show, and went to his condo to search. They allegedly found thousands of dollars in cash, multiple checks, and credit cards in different names. He was taken into custody and questioned. When confronted with information about a double murder, he acknowledged that was his chain and that he did accept help to get it back, and he was cool with Casey. But as detectives told him an innocent man lost his life, Blizzy, and that one of the men he allegedly sent, Nathan, was hit as well, they told Rich Show it looked like a murder for hire. After more investigation, he was also taken into custody and charged with a double hit, even though he told detectives he was a scammer, not a hitter, and that wasn't his MO. 4 months would go by when a tip would come in about the whereabouts of Sheldon in California. He was jammed up and brought back to Atlanta, where he slipped up and asked could he retrieve his laptop, admitting that was him in the video and that he was at the scene, before then asking for a lawyer. Casey would be the first to be sentenced after being found guilty of hit charges. He was sentenced to life plus 5 years. Sheldon was found guilty of 14 counts related to the hit and received 2 life sentences plus 45 years. Kenson Hunt, aka Rich Show, has not made it to trial for his alleged role in the situation as of now. Rest in peace to Blizzy and Nathan. I send my prayers and deepest condolences to both of their families. It's crazy. Blizzy people say they recognize one of the people in the video as someone who he hung out with from time to time. I'm not sure why he got hit if he wasn't the target. But as far as everybody else in the situation, it was bad from the jump. It led to more problems than solutions. I understand get back and everything, but to go in the studio blindly on hopes it goes right just seems like a one-way ticket to prison. More of this story, don't be so thirsty for some money, you bid yourself to a life sentence, trying to be a paid hitter. Now you get sent off. So remember, we gotta succeed not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Man, it's a crazy story, you feel me? First and foremost, rest in peace to Blizzy. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. Also, rest in peace to Nathan, because at the end of the day, right or wrong, he lost his life as well. He got family out here too. Now, this situation crazy. Of course, y'all probably seen this on First 48, you know what I mean? It's called Deadly Rap. So I don't know if y'all want to go search that up and watch the whole thing. But yeah, man, wild story, you know. At the end of the day, man, this was reckless. It seemed real crazy. And Casey was only a shorty. He was really like a baby. He was like 18 years old. And he got jammed up and threw his life away for some pennies and hope that he'll get some money. You know, I'm not sure why they went in there blicking. I don't know what went left. You know what I mean? It seemed like as soon as they went in, shots went off. So maybe the person they was coming for, he already peeped the move. But yeah, man, y'all leave it in the comments. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of Hood Tales. This your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.